Well, amid all the uncertainty over Ukraine right now, President Trump and the First Lady are on their way to Rome at this hour, joining other world leaders for the funeral of Pope Francis. The president spoke to reporters just before taking off, saying that he's hopeful on reaching deals on both trade and the war in Ukraine. Take a listen.
We have a lot of things going on, and I think in the end we're going to end up with a lot of good deals, including tariff deals and trade deals. We're going to make our country rich. But we're going to try and get out of war so that we can save 5,000 people a week. And that's what my aim is. I want to save 5,000 young men. They happen to be mostly Ukrainian, Russian. 5,000 young Ukrainian and Russian men. And that's a big honor if I can do it. I think we're pretty close.
All right, let's bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Olivia, what else did the president have to say this morning?
Yeah, before taking off for Rome, the president spoke to reporters, and there he was asked whether or not he would meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky on the sidelines of that funeral that he's headed to. That's Pope Francis's funeral. Trump said it's possible that they might meet. He was also asked about that meeting that's happening in Russia today between his special envoy Steve Witkoff and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Of course, that meeting coming one day after the president issued a statement to the president of Russia telling him to stop the ongoing strikes that are happening in Ukraine. Trump on that specific meeting that's happening between Witkoff and Putin, he said they're meeting right now as we speak. We have a lot of things going on. And then he went on to say, I think we're going to end up with a lot of good deals. Now, of course, this comes as the administration is desperately trying to end the war in Ukraine, which is proving to be a little bit more difficult than they perhaps anticipated. We are now on several weeks of negotiations going on between the Ukrainians and the Russians, and this is the fourth meeting that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is having with the Russians and Vladimir Putin to try to reach an end to this war. But Liz also proving very difficult for them to achieve that.
And from Russia to Iran, Olivia, another U.S. delegation heading to the Middle East for another round of talks tomorrow. This is all over Iran's nuclear program. What's the focus this time?
Yeah, Steve Witkoff saying certainly very busy in this administration. He is also heading to Oman for those conversations, just the latest in negotiations around Iran's nuclear program, which people have been saying is very, very close to enriching enough uranium that they would be able to make a nuclear weapon. So because of that, the U.S. has really ramped up talks with the Iranians and their delegations. We're now moving into the phase of these talks where they're having expert level people as a part of these conversations so that they can really get into the nitty gritty of how much they're enriching, what that actually looks like, and the U.S. taking a certain role in this to make sure that they are not getting to the point where they can make a nuclear weapon. We did also hear from the president specifically on this before he left. He told reporters the situation with Iran is going well. He also thinks they're going to make a deal there, again, keeping Witkoff very busy. But the president did repeat that there would be military action if no deal is reached. So that was quite notable. He said he'd be leading the pack on that. So they are working diligently to try to make a deal as we are just heading into another set of talks between the U.S. and Iran on Saturday.
And Olivia, I want to circle back to the president's trip to Rome. Any idea if he's expecting to hold any meetings with world leaders there, possibly over tariffs?
You know, there are conversations about whether or not he's going to have bilateral meetings. We have not been given a readout yet, but we do know that over 130 heads of states, including kings, including prime ministers, will be there. It will be some of the first time that a lot of these world leaders are seeing Trump face to face since the tariffs were put in place. That was that broad 10% tariff that was put on all countries. And of course, he has singled out China to really ramp up the tariffs against them. But it's the first time he's coming face to face with a lot of these world leaders. We have not been given a readout just yet of who he is meeting with, but there are some bilateral meetings that are expected to happen on the sidelines of Pope Francis's funeral.
Olivia Rinaldi, thank you so much.